Am I the a-hole for telling my mom her boyfriend is no longer invited in my house? I am 23, and 4 years ago, my life was permanently altered. I lost my dad to cancer. It's a sentence that feels heavy every time I say it, even now. The process was agonizing. Seeing a man who was the bedrock of our family wither away into someone who could barely whisper is a trauma that doesn't just leave you because time passes. For me, my mom, and my sister, the pain was all-consuming. We became this tight-knit, mourning trio, trying to navigate a world that felt fundamentally broken without him. My sister turned 18 this year, and out of all of us, she took it the worst. She was just a teenager when he got sick, and she's still deep in the trenches of grieving. She misses him in a way that is still raw and visible. She wears his old flannel shirts around the house, and she still keeps the last birthday card he ever gave her on her nightstand, the ink faded from where she's traced his handwriting. The house we live in is filled with his presence. Every creak in the floorboards and every DIY shelf he put up in the garage is a reminder of him. Before my father passed, he did something that showed me just how much he worried about our future. He pulled me aside and told me that he was going to leave me full ownership of the house. He said that the rest of the details would be communicated to me by his lawyers when I turned 21. At the time, I didn't want to talk about wills or deeds, I just wanted him to stay. But he was firm. He knew the world could be harsh, and he wanted to make sure his family was protected. When I turned 21, the legalities were finalized. In his will, he gave me full ownership of the house. He left a bit of the money for my mom and my sister, but the rest of his money and the property went to me. I am so glad that he saw that far ahead for us. The money he left doesn't make us millionaires or anything close to that, but it is enough for us to live comfortably. It covers the property taxes, the maintenance, and it is enough to fund both my and my sister's education. It was his way of ensuring that no matter what happened, we had a roof over our heads and a path toward a future. For the last few years, the three of us have lived here together. I've taken my role as the homeowner and the provider seriously. I handle the bills, I fix what breaks, and I try to maintain the sanctuary my father built. But lately, that sanctuary has started to feel crowded. The problem is my mom's boyfriend. She introduced him to us about 8 months ago. Initially, it was a hard pill to swallow. My sister, especially, didn't like him. To her, seeing my mom with another man felt like a betrayal of my dad's memory. It wasn't that the guy was bad, it was just that he wasn't dad. Over time, however, my sister accepted him. He's cool and accepting, and we actually get along just fine on a surface level. He plays video games with my sister, talks to her about her school projects, and he kind of blended in. He started visiting us often. What began as a few hours on a weekend turned into him staying over frequently. I started noticing his shoes in the hallway more often than not. I'd walk into the kitchen in the morning to get coffee, and he'd be sitting at the table in his robe. I didn't like that. It felt like my father's space was being encroached upon by someone who hadn't earned a place there. But I kept quiet. I wanted my mom to be happy. I saw her smiling more, and I didn't want to be the one to snatch that away from her. But a week ago, the situation reached a breaking point. My mom sat me down and told me that she had a confession. They haven't just been dating for 8 months. They've actually been dating for 2 years. They had been keeping it a secret because they didn't know how we would react. She followed this up by saying they are planning to get married because they love each other. I was surprised by the timeline, but I congratulated her. I told her I was happy for her and that I wanted her to find joy again. But then she dropped the bomb on me. She said she wants to invite her boyfriend to move into our home permanently. I was shocked. I refused right away. I didn't even have to think about it. The idea of a man I've only known for 8 months, even if they've technically been together longer, moving into the house my father specifically left to me felt wrong. It felt like an invasion. My mom immediately tried to convince me. She started listing the benefits. She said it would be good for us if he stays with us because instead of him paying rent elsewhere, he will contribute to the household expenses. She said it would give us a chance to get closer and become a real family again. I told her that we are already a family and that we don't need a 4th person living in this house to make that true. When I didn't give her the approval she was looking for, she got angry. Her tone changed instantly. She snapped and said it's her house as well and that there shouldn't be any problem if her husband lives with her. I tried to stay calm, but the entitlement in her voice stung. I said, I do not have a problem with him, Mom. And yes, emotionally, it's your and my sister's house as well. You live here, you belong here. But I cannot allow you to move in your husband with us. This isn't just about rent or convenience. This is Dad's house. She started crying, calling me cruel. She said that my father should have left the house to her instead of to me. She accused me of using the house to control her life and her happiness. I got angry at that. I said, if you want to live with him so badly, then Then go move in with him and live your own life. There's a reason why in my family, fathers leave everything to their sons. My father knew me. He knew that I would take care of you and my sister, and that's why he left everything to me. He trusted me to protect our home. I told her she can stay in this house for as long as she wants. It's her home, and it's my sister's home. I told her that nobody else is allowed to move in, especially not right now. I said I won't force her to do anything, and she shouldn't try to force me to change the rules of this house either. Since the argument, the atmosphere in the house has been miserable. My mom has been completely ignoring me. She walks past me like I'm a ghost. When I try to talk to her, she shuts down. When I manage to get a few words in, she just repeated that I am selfish and that my father should have given her the ownership. I love my mom, and I want her to be happy, but I think it's just not the right time to allow her BF to move in with us. I've spent the last few nights sitting in my room, looking at the old photos of me and my dad. I feel like I'm the only one left guarding the legacy he built. My sister is caught in the middle, feeling the tension but too afraid to pick a side. She likes the boyfriend, but I know she isn't ready to see him moving his boxes into Dad's old office. My mom thinks I'm being a dictator, but I feel like I'm just trying to maintain the boundaries of our sanctuary. If I let him move in now, this house stops being ours and starts being theirs. I'm not ready for that, and I don't think my sister is either. My mom is so caught up in her new romance that she's forgotten how much weight these walls hold for us. I keep replaying the argument in my head. Maybe I was too harsh when I told her to move out, but I felt backed into a corner. She was trying to use family as a way to guilt-trip me into letting a stranger take up permanent residence in the only place I feel safe. I am the one who pays the taxes. I am the one who fixes the roof. I am the one who carries the responsibility my father gave me. I've tried to reach out to her again, to offer a compromise like more dinners or maybe he can stay over a bit more, but she won't even look at me. She's convinced that I'm the villain in her love story. It's a heavy burden to carry, especially when all I'm trying to do is what I think my father would have wanted. He left me the house for a reason, and I don't think that reason was so another man could live in it rent-free while his own children were still mourning him. Since the argument my mom has been ignoring me, she stopped talking to me and when I tried talking to her she said I am selfish and my father should have gave her the ownership, but I think it's just not the right time to allow her BF to move in with us. Update. Thank you to everyone who commented. I read a lot more than I expected to, including the ones that were harsh, and a few things people pointed out stuck with me. The main one was that if I didn't address this directly with my mom, the silence between us was only going to get worse. The house already felt tense, and dragging it out wasn't helping anyone, especially not my sister who has been trying to pretend nothing is wrong. I decided to talk to my mom the next day while my sister was out. I didn't want her in the middle of it again. Before getting into that, I'll say this once because I saw it come up a lot, insulting my father or turning this into something about misogyny isn't helpful. I'm not from the US, and in my family it's normal for property to stay within the children so it doesn't get mixed into extended or stepfamily situations later. My father made his decision knowing all of that. He didn't leave my mom with nothing. She has her own money, her own security. The house being in my name doesn't mean I see her as a guest. It never has. When I went to speak to her, she didn't ignore me like she had been doing the past few days, but she was clearly still upset. I asked her directly why the situation had escalated so quickly. Up until now, ownership of the house had never been an issue between us. We've been living together without problems, making decisions together, and suddenly it turned into something else the moment I said no to her boyfriend moving in. She didn't get defensive the way she had during the argument. Instead, she admitted that she's been feeling lonely for a long time. She said that after my father passed, she tried to stay strong for both of us, especially for my sister, but it hasn't been easy. She said having someone there for her, someone she can talk to as a partner, not just as a mother, made a difference she didn't realize she needed. That's where her boyfriend comes in. According to her, he's been a constant for her emotionally, and that's why she's pushing for him to be more present in the house. I didn't dismiss that. I told her I understand that she wants companionship beyond her children. I'm not against her moving on or being with someone. I've never tried to stop that. What I'm against is the pace and the way this is being forced into the house. There's a difference between accepting someone in our lives and having them move in permanently, especially when it's only been 8 months since we were even introduced to him. I explained that to her as calmly as I could. I told her she has every right to be with whoever she wants, and I'm not trying to control her life. At the same time, I have a responsibility here too. As the eldest, I've taken on the role of looking out for the house and for my sister. My sister is still not comfortable, even if she doesn't say it out loud anymore. She tolerates him, but that doesn't mean she's ready for that level of change. My mom asked why it bothered me so much if he moved in, especially since he already spends a lot of time at the house. That's where I had to be very clear. Visiting and staying over occasionally is one thing. Moving in permanently changes everything. It changes the dynamic of the house, the privacy, the environment my sister is living in. It's not just about him as a person. It's about what it represents. I also pointed out that from the outside, it doesn't look right. A man in his 50s moving into a widow's house where her children still live, especially when one just turned 18 and is still dealing with grief, raises questions. It's not about judging him as a person, it's about the situation as a whole. I told her it feels rushed and unnecessary at this stage. She pushed back by saying that living together would help everyone bond and make things easier. I told her that closeness doesn't require living under the same roof. People can build relationships over time without forcing a shared space too soon. If anything, forcing it might make things worse instead of better. At that point, I asked her something simple. If their relationship is strong, why not take the next step by building something together outside this house? She didn't have a direct answer to that. I said I'm old enough to take care of things here, and he's old enough to manage his own life as well. It doesn't make sense to me that the solution is for him to move into a space that already has its own structure and history. I did say something that I know some people won't agree with, but it's how I see it. If I get married in the future, I would bring my wife into my home, not move into her family's house. That's just how I was raised to think about it. So seeing this situation from that angle doesn't sit right with me. My mom got emotional at that point. She started crying, not in a dramatic way, but in a way that made it clear this has been building for her too. I didn't argue with her when that happened. I sat next to her, hugged her, and let her calm down. The conversation shifted after that. It stopped being about winning an argument and became more about understanding where each of us was coming from. I told her again that I'm not shutting the door completely. I'm saying it's too soon. 8 months of us knowing him is not enough to make a decision like that. There's no urgency here. They're not even married yet. They're talking about it, but that's different from it actually happening. I suggested that we slow things down. Let more time pass. Let my sister get more comfortable. Let things settle naturally instead of forcing a major change into a house that's already been through a lot. I made it clear that I'm not trying to punish her or control her relationship. I'm trying to protect the stability we still have. That seemed to get through to her. She didn't argue after that. She agreed that maybe things had been moving too fast and that we should revisit the conversation later instead of pushing it right now. She said she doesn't want this to damage what we have as a family, especially when it's just the three of us left living here. The tension in the house eased after that. It wasn't instant, but it was noticeable. Later that evening, she cooked dinner for us like she used to before all of this started. It wasn't anything special, just our usual meal, but it felt normal again. My sister didn't say much about the situation, but she seemed more relaxed too, like she could breathe again without worrying about what was going to change next. Things aren't completely resolved, and I don't expect them to be overnight. This isn't something that disappears with one conversation. But we're in a better place than we were a few days ago when we weren't speaking at all. For now, the decision stands. He's still welcome to visit, but he's not moving in. That might change in the future, maybe after more time has passed or if their relationship reaches a point where it makes more sense. Right now, it doesn't. I know some people will still think I'm being controlling or stubborn. Others will say I should have just let it happen. But I'm the one living here, dealing with the reality of it, and this feels like the right call for where things stand. At the end of the day, I didn't want to lose my mom over this. That was the main thing that pushed me to talk to her instead of letting the silence grow. We're not in conflict anymore, and that matters more to me than proving a point. We're taking it one step at a time now.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Daily Tales Update.